shit I got to say. Hello, internet fans. It's your old pal Rotten Roger DeMarco here from RepulsiveReviews.com. This week, we're going to talk about Tom Maylin's 1981 film, The Burning. Here's a basic rundown of the plot. Cropsey is a caretaker at a camp. A bunch of the kids don't like him, so they decide to play a prank on him. Well, the prank goes wrong and he accidentally gets lit on fire. Fast forward a couple years, and now he's burnt, disfigured, and pissed off. And the rumor is he goes from camp to camp, killing obnoxious asshole kids. Before we get into the meat of this review, first, let's take a look at Right Rogers Splatter Facts. We have 10 dead bodies. We have 4 boobs. We have 1 bush. There's a lot of adolescent teen butt. The methods of death include, but are not limited to, scissors, throat slashing, garden shear hacking, slashing, stabbing, and shears to the neck. This was filmed in North Tonawanda, right next to Niagara Falls. Splatter effects maestro Tom Savini did the effects, and he did some iconic effects on this film as well. Everybody knows Tom Savini just sits around with a notebook and writes down ways to kill people, and he sits around and sculpts this stuff. He even did one of his famous effects where he uses the actor's head and then a fake torso, which he did in Friday the 13th, among other things. Reed Rondell did the fire stunt where Cropsey gets lit on fire and runs out of the cabin. Well, a few short years after that, he was killed during a stunt while working on the show Airwolf. Tom Savini sculpted the Cropsey face in 3 days. Now, I'm not sure that means that he sculpted it, molded it, and painted it in the 3 days, but the word is that there was a time crunch, they needed a look, and he just hammered this out, which is pretty crazy considering how iconic the face of Cropsey really is. I mean, he is terrifying. And for Tom Savini to dream that up in 3 days, from start to finish, is outstanding. Obviously, the MPAA went bananas after this film. I mean, it's 1981, it's the heyday of the slasher films, so, you know, they wanted less gore, less blood, less boobs, but guess what? We got what we got. Thank God. This movie's different from most of the slashers in that era because it actually has really, really likable characters. They get along and they really seem like teenagers. They don't seem like, you know, Hollywood does now and they hire a 25 to a 35-year-old to play a 17-year-old. Like, these kids look like kids. And we get Jason Alexander, and he has hair, and he's brilliant. The conversations between Jason Alexander and Fisher Stevens, young Fisher Stevens, is in this film. They are so witty and so fun and relatable that you almost feel like you went to summer camp with these kids. Also kind of find it odd that when Cropsey leaves the hospital at the beginning of the film, he dresses like a Ninja Turtle when they want to go buy pizza on the surface. He's got like a trench coat, a top hat, and, you know, he just hides in the shadows. Like, that'll work. They won't be able to tell that you're disgusting. And we also spend a lot of time, this is another thing that's different about this film, is we spend a lot of time with the teenagers before even one of them gets knocked off. So you get a lot of character development. You get, if this wasn't a horror film, this could be just an 80s camp film, and it would be hilarious. This is like Meatballs or something, you know, Porky's. It's of that caliber. It's very funny. It's very fresh. They did a lot of things right in this film. Although I do kind of find it funny that Cropsey's master plan is to just lay down in a canoe and float through and just hope that these kids come look in this canoe. Like, how long was he there? 6, 7 hours? Who knows? He's just floating along in this canoe, sort of like Russ Thorne in Sleepaway Camp, hiding under the blanket in the living room, just waiting for someone to look and say, oh, there's a killer there. So there's that. Now, the lead character, Alfred, sort of a peeping Tom. But not like a, you're a creepy peeping Tom. Kind of like a, aw, he's cute, he was spying on me in the shower. No, he's actually really creepy. Like, he'd be arrested. I'm fairly certain he'd be arrested for some of the creepy shit he does in this movie. They talk a lot about Glazer being, like, buff and all of Glazer's muscles, but he's not buff. Like, not even for 80s standards. He's kind of a wimp who has premature ejaculation issues. Glazer. Yeah, yeah. Twice in this movie, we actually get Paul's speech from Friday the 13th Part 2 around the campfire. Like, almost verbatim, except for instead of Jason, it's Cropsey. You know, it's not to say that it didn't imitate some things, but it's still awesome. This is just a great movie. And apparently Glazer thinks it's funny to almost drown people. Yeah, this was filmed for $1.5 million. And it really shows up on the screen because the effects are top notch. I'm going to give this movie 4 out of 5 garden shears because it's that damn good. Because after all, there's a lot of movies out there. Somebody's got to watch them. Why not me, right?